dot. Hopefully everybody got in okay today. The weather looks wonderful. We always start with our weather report. I managed to park myself under one of the very few trees that we have in our parking lot with a few leaves on it. Hopefully today they'll give me some shade because they're expecting nice hot weather. I can't believe a week or so ago we were complaining how cold it was, but it looks like summer has finally decided to arrive. So today we're going to talk about customer deposits and or prepays. Now I want you guys to keep an open mind on this, and we're going to approach it first from the accounts receivable standpoint. I'm going to look at it basically for people who only have accounts receivable. Then, but as I'm doing that, I want those of you that have the sales order module and are doing customer deposits to think about it, keep an open mind. Kind of think this through, because there's a couple different ways to handle prepays or customer deposits. Now, what is a prepay? Let's kind of define that. Occasionally, we require our customers to provide a down payment. And we haven't invoiced them yet. So we're asking them to give us 50% down, or maybe the whole amount down. We're not talking COD now, but it's a little bit more of a commitment for them to be able to place this order with us or to get our product. Then, of course, and this is a rarity, but then, of course, we always do have those customers that we love that accidentally pay us too much. And now we've got a credit. We have a credit on their account, and goodness, what do we do with this check that they sent us? They double paid or duplicate paid or whatever. So that can also be considered a prepay. So let's kind of walk through a situation where, once again, let's think about AR, where this could happen. I am asking my customer for half down. And once again, I'm going to approach this, the first scenario I'm approaching through just accounts receivable, but I'm going to handle you sales order people in the second scenario, okay? So I'm going to go into cash receipts entry because I have asked this customer to pay me half down on their invoice. So in my cash receipts today, I have a deposit of $500, a very small deposit today, but the customer did send me in a check for $250 that I had required on an invoice I have not yet created for this customer. I asked them to pay me a deposit, okay? So I come into my lines tab here, and this is where I have to make a decision. What am I going to call this invoice number? It's not in my system yet. Maybe I want to use their PO number. Maybe I want to use the check number. Maybe I want to use the check date. It's up to you. Or order number if I'm using sales order. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put in an invoice number, and I'm going to hit enter. And when I do that, the system will prompt me, is this a prepayment? And I'm going to answer, well, why, yes, it is. Notice what happened here. I now have an invoice with an extension of PP. So the system knows that it is a prepayment. And it's going to take my $250 here, and it's going to apply that to this particular invoice that I have gotten in. So I'm going to accept this, and I do have a balance on my deposit because I did get another a check-in from another, oops, sorry about that, hit enter too soon. I did get a check-in from another person, and it happened to be a Blue Cross refund. And, they sent me one of their obnoxious checks with a gazillion numbers in it, and I just happened to get $250 from them also. But since this is my cashed customer, it grays out my invoice number. And I'm going to go down here to my GL account number, and I'm going to say contains insurance. So here's part of my insurance expense, and I'm going to post it to the insurance expense account. Okay? So now I've deposited both of my checks. I'm going to print my cash receipt journal here. And keep in mind, cash receipt journal is one of the only registers in the system that uses the receipt date rather than the date in your lower right-hand corner as the posting date. So here is my cash receipt journal. It's going to post to my ledger on 6/17. Here's my prepayment. Here's my other check that went to the GL account number. I'm going to close that. And I'm going to say, yes, I want to update. I've got paperless turned on, as you just noticed. And I'm going to do my daily transaction register. I'm going to print that. And then my daily transaction register shows my debits to my cash and my credits to accounts receivable for the prepay and the insurance expense account. Okay? Now, I'm going to post that. So let's go and let's look at the customer. How did that affect the customer's file? So here's my American Business Futures. I'm going to go to their Invoices tab. And what you're going to see here is that prepayment amount has a credit balance. If I click on it, here's my check number that it came in on. And also, for those of you who don't know this or don't realize this, right here in my customer maintenance, I can print an aging. So I'm going to click on my little printer button. I'm going to preview this so you guys can take a look at it. And, you know, you'll see my little prepayment on their aging. So I have a credit on the aging for that prepayment. Okay? Now I need to go and I need to invoice that customer for what they purchased. Okay? Now, in this case, they are on credit hold, but I have the master power, and I'm going to go ahead and accept it. And then go to my lines, and let's just say that this widget was the $250 that I required from them. Maybe it was a special order or something. So go to my totals, and what I want to point out here is that on your totals tab, there's no place to put in that they prepaid. Okay, so this is an invoice for $250, no place to put in that prepayment. So I'm going to accept that. We're going to pretend like we printed the invoice, and we're going to print our sales journal, and we're going to post our sales journal. And here it comes. It tells me not all invoices have been printed. I don't want the gross profit in this case. So here's my sales journal. Everything's good there. I'm going to post that. And I have my normal posting. It's going to be a debit to my accounts receivable and a credit to my revenue. So here we are. Okay, I have a little cost of goods sold on this item. My widget evidently had a cost associated to it. And we're going to post that. Okay, now let's go back and look at that customer again and go to the Invoices tab. And you'll notice, hey, look, here's my prepayment, and here's that invoice. So what happens to my aging? Well, that puppy's going to stay out there forever and ever until I do something about it. It does not automatically apply. Okay, so there they are. They will not automatically apply and fall off your aging. So what do you do about that? Well, the first way I'm going to show you is my preferred method. Now, this doesn't mean this is your only method. This is just Sue's preferred method. But I like this method because I control what posts against what. When we're done with this, I'm going to go into another company, and I'm going to show you another method that you can use. Okay? So how do I get them to apply against each other? I'm going to do cash receipts entry, create a new deposit, amount received, 0. Okay? We're going to go ahead and click on accept. Then we're going to pull up the customer, And in my check number field, I'm just going to make something up. I like to use clear PP because that, to me, mentally, it says when I see that on the customer's account, clear prepayment. Or, you may want to say post prepayment or, whatever. You're kind of limited in the number of characters there, but keep that in mind. Amount received, 0. Okay, let's go to our Lines tab. Now from here, I'm going to use my handy-dandy Select Invoices button. A lot of people don't even realize that Select Invoices button is here. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to show you the difference. If I click on my invoice lookup here, it shows me every invoice this customer has in that open invoice file, even though some of them are 0 balance. Well, if I've got a customer that has a lot of invoices, I do not want to go through this. I do not want to come in here because it's just too much to look through. I want to click on my Select Invoices button, which will show me only invoices with balances. Isn't that great? So let's go ahead and click on Invoice Date so we can sort these and I can select them easy. I'm going to hold my Control key down, and I'm going to choose my prepayment and my regular invoice. They're right next to each other. And now I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So it shows me that my amount posted is $250. My invoice balance is going to be 0. My amount posted on the real invoice is $250. The invoice balance is going to be 0. Posting balance, 0. So go ahead and accept that. And let's go ahead and print our register. And here it comes. And it shows my clear PP, my 2 invoices, deposit amount 0. Everything's right with the world. We're going to go ahead and post that and do our daily transaction register. Now, keep in mind, we just posted an open invoice, a positive balance invoice against a negative balance invoice. So in essence, we've got a 0 entry. So we're not moving any monies on the ledger. Okay? Let's go ahead and close that, post that. Now, if I go back and I look at this customer, and I go to my Invoices tab, you'll notice that my prepayment and my regular invoice are 0. If I highlight them, it shows my clear PP here, and it shows my clear PP here. So I can track it through. Maybe I want to do like CPP and then do a date or something. Something to, if you're reconciling, you'll be able to see it easier. And also, if I look at my aging, you'll notice that it's no longer going to appear on my aging report. Okay, gone. They're gone off my aging report. From here, I can also, from the customer, some of us don't realize this either, I can also print a statement. So I'm going to preview my statement, and you're going to notice that I've got my clear PP down here, so the customer can see that I applied those against each other. Okay, so that was method number 1 of how to get those prepayments if we choose to record them as prepayments. So keep this in mind. Prepayment causes a credit on the aging report. Now that's an important thought process that you're going to need when we go to do it on the sales order side, okay? Now, let's real quick, we're going to run over to my ZZZ company, and we're going to take a quick look at ABF again in there, and what we're going to notice is, even in here, I've got the same 2 situation, prepayment and an invoice, right? All right, this is option 2. This is option that I don't particularly care for, and you're going to see why, okay? But this is totally up to you. Under period end processing, you have a feature called Match Credits to Open Invoices. We're going to click on that feature. And what this product will do is it will actually go out, look at the particular customer that you select, and find any credits, keep that in mind, any credits, and post them against open invoices. You can post them sequentially or by invoice date. Okay? Now, either way around it, even if I choose invoice date, I'm going to show you, I do not like what it does. You cannot control this. It goes out and says, okay, here's my prepayment. I'm going to post it against invoice 122 because it's finding the oldest invoice. And here's a credit memo, and it's also going to apply it against 122. Well, I don't want it against 122. I want it against that $250 invoice. I can't do that using this method. I'm going to go ahead and post it, though, because I want you to see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and update the open invoices, and we're going to go to customer maintenance. I'm going to pull up ABF again, and you'll notice that, here's my little prepayment, and the payment reference is credit X. Now, I get this a lot. People will call in and they'll say, oh my gosh, I just printed, statements or whatever. What is this credit X? I don't know what the credit X is. It's somebody used this match open payments. Now, if I go ahead and I use the aging report, if I want to, print the aging report at this point in time, here's that $250 invoice, and that 122, is reduced now. But it didn't go against my 250, which is where I wanted it. Now, also, here's the statement. I'm going to go ahead and select one here, preview it. And this is the big question that people call me. And they're like, I got these credit X's all over. What is the credit X? I don't know what that is. That's what it does on the statement. So that's why a lot of people do not like to use that method, because you can't control what invoice is opposed to, and two, you get those credit X's all over the statement, and the customer calls and says, what's a credit X? I don't even know what a credit X is. Now, this method worked absolutely beautiful for us. Years ago, we had a customer that was a internet service provider, so he was charging $19.95 a month. Everybody had $19.95, and then we would use, we would import the payments. Payments would come in as prepayments. Then we would do the match open credits, and bada bing, bada boom. It was a beautiful thing and got them all off. But for those of us in real life, it doesn't work as well. But it's up to you. If it works for you, fantastic. It's all about what works in your environment, okay? Now, I told you, people who use sales order, to keep this in mind. Do I want to record these as prepayments and have them sitting out on my aging, and then handle them later about applying them against the invoices? Okay? Sales order is a little bit different, but still can be handled that way. So let's go into sales order entry. And actually, I'm one step ahead of myself. Before we go into sales order entry, I want you to go to sales order setup, and I want you to do sales order options. This is very, very important to go into your sales order options and see what your customer deposit account number is set to. Do not set it to your cash account. It is not cash. Do I have people do it? Yeah, it kind of works, but, it's really not the way accounting-wise it's supposed to be done. Your customer deposit account is supposed to be a liability account. You have their money. They don't have their product, okay? So liability account turns into an account that you do have to reconcile. You need to know what's in that account and whose money you still have, okay? So we're going to go into order entry. And we're going to create a new sales order for our buddies, ABF, and you're going to notice they're going to get popped on the credit. But once again, we have all power, so we're going to override that. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to allow them, even though they're on credit hold, we're going to allow them to place an order. And they're going to order one of these, and this is a very expensive product today. And it's a little bit over $7,500. Well, with an order of that size, we require the customer to pay, X amount down, maybe half down. And we have told this customer, hey, we need half down. The customer sends in the payment. Okay, so now I'm going to accept this, and we're going to pretend. Okay, woo, it's like a week later. Customer sends in the payment, and we know that on this order, they have paid half down. So we're going to come here, and we're going to say check. I could also say credit card if I had my Visas and MasterCards and so forth, and Sage Payment Solutions was integrated. I could do that at this point. And, this is the check number that they sent in, and they have paid me, this amount of money. okay? My total order is this, and now my net order is this, okay? I accept it. This is a sales order. It does that, by accepting that, it does not create a journal entry. A sales order is an acceptance, is an acknowledgement that I'm going to buy something from you. Does not create a journal entry until you actually do an invoice. Alrighty then. So what do I do with this money? I got money. So my bookkeeper needs to go into cash receipts entry, and we're going to create a deposit, and maybe this is the only check we got in today. So we're going to create a deposit for that dollar amount, and we're going to choose that customer. And by gosh, by golly, I should have written it down. I'm going to minimize that for a second. I did not write down the check number, so let me write that down so it makes sense when we do this. Let me get my pen out here. 9875, because we want our systems to match, right? So we're going to go ahead and pull our cash receipt back up. There's my check number, and I received in $3,780. There's no invoice. It's a sales order. Oh, ignore that. That's what I was playing with. But there's no invoice. It's a sales order, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to come here to my GL account number, and where am I taking it to? 201-0000. Notice I do not have to put my dashes in, and it comes up with my customer deposit account number. Okay? So we're going to accept that, and we're going to print it. Now, the main difference between this and the prepayments, this is going to a GL account number. It will not be reflected on the customer's account. So if I go back into ABF, I will not see this deposit sitting out on the customer's account. So I'm going to go back into ABF so I can show you what I'm talking about. There's no $3,700 credit out here. There's no $3,700 credit on the aging. This is an invoice. It's when I was practicing, guys. But there's no credit out here. Okay? Where is it? It's in your GL account. So if I was to look up my 201 account, let's get myself in the right year. There's my cash receipt for it right there. Okay? That's what gets people sometimes. It's because of the fact that they can't see it in the customer account. So 201, like I said, is a reconcilable account. All right, now we have shipped the order, and now we need to invoice the customer. So we're going to come into invoice data entry. I'm going to go to that sales order, which happens to be this one on the 17th, which is today. And I'm going to go to my lines. I'm going to say, yeah, I want to ship my order complete. I'm going to go to my totals, invoice total, net balance, because I have a deposit. I'm going to go ahead and quick print this invoice so you can see what it looks like. I don't have a fancy one, but here's my $7,500. And down at the bottom, you'll notice that it shows my invoice total, less deposit, invoice balance. So this is what the customer has to pay. All right, so let's print my sales reports. Go ahead and print this. I'm going to do gross profit. And I'm going to print my daily deposit recap. I want to show you all three of them. All right, so here we are. Here's my sales journal. Shows I have an invoice total of this. My deposit amount is that. So I know that this dollar amount posted to my deposit account. My gross profit journal looks like it always does. And I also have turned on, there's a report called the Daily Deposit Recap. Okay? All right, so now let's go ahead and post that. Update, update, update. Taking its little time today. Really taking its time today. Maybe I need to call tech support. This is very odd. Okay, well, we're going to talk about it as if it's posted. Ah, there we go. It's posted properly. And that was weird that it took so long. Our daily transaction register. It will debit accounts receivable for the balance. It's going to debit customer deposits for the amount that we received in the customer deposit, and it'll credit revenue for the entire amount. And this is all because we put that as a deposit amount on the sales order. Okay, even holds the check number for us. So let's go ahead and post that through. And let's look at the general ledger. And we're going to go ahead and pull up that account. And you're going to see I had another entry I was playing yesterday, so you're going to see actually a couple entries in there. Trying to create your documentation. Oh, goodness, let's go back. And keep in mind, since I clicked on Keep Window Open After, that's why I was able to come back to this screen easily. Let's preview that again. There we go. This is the one I want to see, not the whole ledger. So if I do a cash receipt, here's my credit, or when I do the cash receipt for the deposit, there's my credit. When I invoice the customer, SO, there's my debit. This is an account you must reconcile. You need to know how much money you have in this account, what you still owe people. It will react the same whether you do it check, cash, or credit card. The big difference is you cannot see in the customer account that they have a credit balance because they've put money down on something. To help you reconcile this account, let's see, under, I think it's, I can't remember if it's AR or sales order. We'll take a quick look. There is a report called it's like a deposit transaction report. If you're taking multiple types of deposits, it'll record it, whether it was a check or a credit card or whatever, and then you have your reference numbers here. So this report should help you reconcile that account. In this case, this is check totals. If I had Visa, it would give me a Visa total. If I had MasterCard, it would give me a MasterCard total. And that, should be what comes in from the bank. Now, there's some people say, cart or horse, which, when do I record this deposit? Do I record it, before, especially with credit cards, because, credit cards come in a couple days later. Do I record it before? Do I record it after? How do I handle this? It's kind of up to you and how it works in your environment. Once again, I want to take a look at, what we're doing on these is, we've got, you got to figure out what works best for you. I have some folks that say, I never, ever, ever want to put a deposit on my sales order. I want to go ahead and invoice the customer for the entire amount. I have some people that say, I don't want to put a deposit on, but I want to do a slash code, do like a slash miscellaneous, and you know, call it slash deposit, and show it in the body of the invoice, which will work in AR also. You know, so it's however it works for you. But that is what this deposit field was made for. Here was to handle prepayments or required deposits from your customers. So it's food for thought. It's, you know, you kind of got to go through it, figure out how it works best for you, knowing that if you're going to do customer deposits, you must reconcile that account, and you know that'll let you know who you still owe money to or owe product to. Kind of a, you know, it was kind of a different subject. If you've got any questions on that, definitely give us a call. We can talk it out. I've got the documentation prepared, so I can send it out here pretty quickly if you want to play in your test company on it. But look at the two different ways. You know, the prepay versus putting it on the order as a deposit. One, you can see it on the customer account. The other one, you cannot. It's not necessarily a bad thing because it's still out there, but, you know, however you want to do it. And that concludes our Tech Tuesday. Our next Tech Tuesday, we are actually going to be covering Sage Intelligence. That is the product that Sage uses wants you guys to write reports with. We're going to do a very simplistic one because it can be a little bit overwhelming. We've done a lot of report writing with you lately, but Suzanne is going to do a little one on how to write financial reports in the Sage Intelligence product. It links with our other modules if you have the connector module, but we're going to do a very basic one, and then I think the one after that we're going to do what's new in 2013 and 2014. If you guys have subject matter you want to talk about, definitely give us a buzz, send us an email, and we'll get you out of Tech Tuesday. You guys have a wonderful day. Keep cool, stay inside, don't get overheated, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.